So, welcome to the Writer's Mindset with myself, Yvonne Redden. And my guest today is global beverage sales expert Andrew Fitzgerald, all the way from San Diego, but originally from Cork. Andrew, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Yvonne, and sharing your platform with me. I really appreciate it.
And listen, I can call you an author now as well. I wanted to put that in at the end. Isn't it a lovely feeling? How does it make you feel?
It feels great. So I do have a little world exclusive for you, Yvonne, because I do like to keep things held in
Oh my
reserve.
God, you're unbelievable. What is it?
So, best-selling author in America on Amazon in a couple of categories. So, I am going for international bestseller, and we're pushing hard for some other markets like Amazon, Germany, and the UK. So if that happens, then I'll be able to call myself an international bestseller. But for now, it's best-selling author on Amazon.
Now, listen, to get to that status, tell people what you have to do as a self published author, because it's really important that we share what we do and how we get it there. You just don't become an author and become a best selling author. How did you do that? And this is how we met as well, through our social media platforms. Let the audience know how you did that.
Well, my book, How Did I Get Here? Traveling the Road to Resilience, is 3 weeks old today. There it is. Thank you so much, Yvonne. And Amazon is a great platform for
Mm.
self-publishers. They're a great service. It's the quickest way probably to bring a book to market, and also
Yeah.
for me, based in America, to reach as many people as possible. But once you have your book uploaded, you do have to pick some categories where you hope people go to Amazon and they type in some keywords so that your book will show up, and then you are basically compared against every other book that's on Amazon. And I believe it's about 1,400 books that are published every day worldwide on Amazon
Isn't that
between ebook
incredible?
and
Wow.
paperback. So I picked categories that I felt were relevant, and I picked categories where it wasn't so easy to get the number one bestseller. And the rankings change every so often, so I have to
Yeah.
track it. But I screenshotted it. I have it forevermore to prove that I'm a
Mm.
bestseller. And the other thing too, I see big value in my book, so I kept it at value rather than giving it away for free and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. So but there's a lot goes into it, and as we kind of dive deeper into the discussion, I mean, I benefited huge from getting support with a book coach and a book editor. I needed that.
Okay, great. Yeah. And I know you're saying about the categories. What particular categories did you pick?
Yeah, so I went for grief and loss, obviously, because
Mm.
it does touch on the miscarriage part of my book. I went for some corporate categories that picks on the section to do with sales, and then
Mm.
best-selling category actually was for emigration, so stories
Yeah.
about emigration, and then of course a few other generalized categories. So I guess across all the different platforms, there's so many different categories, but memoir biography was the most basic one, and then from
Mm.
there was down into self-help, down into resilience,
Yeah.
pregnancy,
Mm.
and I guess Ireland, of course, and the USA, because it's intrinsic in part of
Yeah.
my life.
But you do have to be strategic in all this planning, don't you?
Yeah, you do. I mean, you can do some research and so on and so
Mm.
forth, but you got to try and stay true to your book and what your book is about. If someone's
Mm.
going to go in and look for, type in the keyword of resilience in Amazon or books about resilience, I do hope that I show up at there, and we see where we go from there. And again, look, word of mouth, Yvonne, you're very kind to reach out to me, and we did a great interview which you published, and it's like
Yeah.
that. It's a small community, and we're trying to help each other to promote our stories and share our story for the benefit of other people.
Yeah, exactly. And I know you were saying that you're bestseller there, but that takes a lot of hard work as well. It's not just picking categories. So it's marketing the crap out of yourself, basically, isn't it? And you haven't stopped. I've seen your stuff on social media. You have to be good at marketing and social media. It's hugely
Yeah,
important.
yeah. I don't want to be kind of saying it's simple, like by just picking the
It's
right
not
categories. No,
simple. Yeah.
it's not. It's not like this. A lot of this marketing started, 8 to 10, 12 months ago,
Mm.
just connecting and learning from people and asking questions. And then I'm lucky in one way because I worked in sales and marketing in the beverage alcohol world that I have some ideas of what works. And then also I'm open to trying some crazy ideas. I'll be showcasing some stuff that I did with digital billboards through a connection of mine, where I was able to get my book up on a digital billboard next to the busiest freeway in America.
Like,
So
how, I mean,
something
there you
small.
go. That's amazing. How did you do it? I'm going to be getting tips off you, I tell you.
I'm learning from you too, though. You had a
Oh,
great
that's good.
successful book launch recently, and that's given
Yeah.
me some ideas.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. And I suppose, when did you decide to write your book, and why did you decide to write it? I mean, firstly, let's say what tell the audience what type of a book it is. It's You've touched on a few things there, but maybe people don't know the actual content of it. So, what is the story behind your book? What's it about?
Yeah, so the book really is a biography memoir about my life, from growing up in Ireland to emigrating to the States,
Hmm.
moving back to Ireland, and then coming back to America again, and the key sections within my life. So, for example, there's four sections. As a teenager, I flatlined twice, and was successfully resuscitated. I had a congenital heart issue that I didn't know about until it manifested itself, playing soccer and very physical exercise. And thankfully, I survived. A lot of people do not. So it's just
Yeah,
talking about that time, processing that. And then I guess my whole life growing up in Ireland, great community back in Cork. The second section is all about emigration. So we won a green card in the green card lottery in
that's gone
2012.
now, isn't it?
It is, well, I think it's still there, but I think maybe since
Very
COVID, there's
difficult to get that,
backlash.
though.
Yeah, it's all changed now again. And my wife, Jane, she's from Cork as well, and we emigrated, and we kind of ran away back to Ireland because we were homesick. We were very well structurally organized and
Yeah.
knew where we needed to live. So the book talks a lot about that and leaving home. You know, as an immigrant, you feel like you're leaving something behind, but you're
Mm.
starting something new. Um, and I guess the best way to sum it up, Yvonne, because I know you lived away from home, is you think everybody's thinking about you when you're away from home, but once you realize people are
Yeah.
busy
And
getting on with things.
sometimes when you come home on a holiday, people would say to me, "Oh, how have you been? Where have you been? I haven't seen you for a while." Well, I've actually been across the other side of the world. They don't even notice. It's bizarre, isn't it? But
Sure.
when you went over for the first time, how long did you stay for the first time?
Yeah, so we stayed for 10 months, and we were in San Diego. We found work, we did all those things,
Yeah.
and we just missed home terribly. So for the best part of 5 months, those 10 months, we actually decided to travel all the West Coast up into Canada and
Wow.
had a blast, lived life as if there was no tomorrow. And then when we decided to come back to Ireland, we kind of knew when we touched down in Shannon that we should have been a bit tougher on each other, should have given each
Okay.
other a kick in the butt. And,
Really? That soon,
yeah, yeah,
even just before you get off the plane?
yeah. I mean, there was an uneasy queasiness feeling. We moved back into our house in Cork. I found a great job with Musgraves in Cork at the head
Yeah.
office. My wife went back to her job because they hadn't rehired her or they hadn't filled her position.
Yeah.
And as time went on, we just said, "Oh, guys, we have this permanent resident card." So we went back very quickly after we came back, and we haven't looked back since. We're still in San Diego. It's home now, and we have a 3.5-year-old boy, Alfie, and he's
Mm.
our little hero. And
Yeah.
we get back to Ireland for a little vacation, or holiday, for 2 weeks every year. And we also get lots of people visiting. So it's like Hotel Fitzgerald sometimes here.
Oh, I'd say it's fab. Come here, I'd be on that list as well, Andrew. Definitely.
More than welcome.
It reminds me of Australia. I said that to you before. How long have you resettled now? The second time back there. How long are you now?
Yeah, so I guess we're 7.5 years here now, properly, if that's the right
Yeah.
term, and then a total of 11 years nearly between
And
between
that's
the
it
moves.
now. You're settled there. Do you think, or do you still feel that? I mean, I was away for 9 years, and you
Mm.
still have. It's like a magnet, isn't it? There's still that something there pulling you back sometimes, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, I moved here when I was 35. I'm 45 years now, so if you break out whatever percentage that is, I lived most of my life in Ireland.
Yeah.
Um, but I think for us, and Jane would say the same thing, we're parents now, so that's a different experience being abroad when it was just the two of us,
Yeah.
carefree and easy, if like. So I don't know, it's very difficult. People ask, will you go back or go home? I kind of get confused, home, going
Yeah.
back, and we don't know. I mean,
Who knows?
yeah, we'll wait and see, but perhaps when I'm older, or we're both older in our 60s, I do think I'd probably want to be around my buddies that I grew up with.
It's
I
going
mean,
to be
life is
very
short,
hard to go back, though, leaving what you have there. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
beautiful
look,
life, isn't it? It's a beautiful lifestyle. I mean, obviously, even though I had a beautiful lifestyle there, you still have to go to work every day. You still have the same difficulties, the same challenges. Just because there's a blue sky and it's hot doesn't make things go away. Or, do you know what I mean? There's still that
yeah, I mean,
familiarity.
the great thing about when we moved the first time and then went back to Ireland again, we were able to compare and contrast a lot of things. And look, life is being lived everywhere you go. Your surroundings and your environment are important. there's plenty of tough times that Jane and I have had over here that we would have had in Ireland too, or wherever we were if it was to happen. So, but there's something special and unique about Ireland: the culture, the crack,
People.
the wit, a little bit of sarcasm, very personable, great sense of community. America is super positive, super optimistic, but everyone's busy, so there's not as much sense of community here.
Is there an nice Irish community there, Andrew?
Yeah, there's a great organization called the Irish Outreach in San Diego, and they get a little grant from the government, and they're a great resource for everybody. When the J1 students come over, they help them get bank accounts, and there's a lot of activities. The Paddy's Day parade is coming up this Saturday, so it actually has it a week in advance, because St. Patrick's Day is a Friday this year, so they have the preceding Saturday, and everyone's there. Generally, you only need the Irish when you run into trouble or you need to get your passport renewed, but they're there everywhere. I have a great friend, Mark. He's from Tyrone. He's living out here 22 years, and he's still, to this day, the guy that guides me on different things. And he's become one of my best friends. And we're just a unique culture and people and a race,
I think so. And why did you pick memoir?
Well, so I go back to my school days in Douglas Community School in Cork, and I loved English. I loved writing. Now, I may not have been the most academic person. I was big into sport, and that was my priority. But English was my best subject. I loved it because we used to write essays, and the teacher would say, write an essay on whatever you want.
I used to love it as well, Andrew. I'd be writing reams of paper. The exams, I used to love the essay part as well. I loved it. God knows what I wrote, but I loved it.
And I generally wrote about soccer and golf because they were the two things I knew about, and I played them so I could be very descriptive. And my teacher used to say, my God, you have a great way of writing, creative, and imagery and so on and so forth. So, there's been lots of things that happened in our life. So who knows my life? Well, better than me, than I do. I know it better than anyone else. And it's probably, I wouldn't be able to write a fiction book because I just would not perhaps be that creative. And I have a great recall and a great memory. So I started to annoy my wife about it about 8 years ago. And she said, just go write it. And then it was only about 2.5 years ago I really knuckled down. And I started and stopped, and I got in the way of myself, writer's block. Is this any good? What am I doing? Will people like this? But it wasn't about people liking it. It was about me writing it.
Yeah.
And then inevitably I needed to get supportive on. So I found a great lady living here, random, living 2 miles away from me down the street, Andrea. So she was a book coach and an editor. And I went to her and I said, look, this is what I want to do. I need to get there. Can you show me how? She held me accountable. She gave me basic stuff to do. And it was with the premise, little and often. So I felt like I was achieving something. And I started writing. And if I was stuck in an airport or in an airplane for 6 hours flying from San Diego to Boston, I would be making my notes. Yeah. And she kind of interviewed me as well, which kind of got a lot out of it.
Do you found that was a good help for you then to hire somebody like that? Do you think you would have done it without somebody like a coach?
No, I would have found reasons to put it off. I'll get to it eventually. I don't think what we, when I say we, Andrea and I, and Jane and Alfie, what we've produced is of a very high standard and is something that's very well structured, and I wouldn't have been able to do that. Inevitably, there are people who know more about topics, so that's why anyone watching this or listening to this should reach out. If you have an idea, go get support in the book world, people that have been there and done that, and you will get the support out of it, and everybody will help each other. We all have a story in us. We got to drag it out.
Exactly, and I think the writers all support each other. They'll share information, and I love that about it as well. From talking to people, they share, no problem. And I think, definitely reach out and ask people to help. There's so many, there's great resources here as well. Is there writing clubs and lots of things like the festivals around San Diego that you could go to as well for promotion?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. So everybody that knows me really well knows I'm a mad keen golfer, and I would play golf every Saturday. But from January 1st, I spend most of my Saturdays at a library. Because I wanted to know more. So what do? You go and listen and learn from people who've done it before. And I'm that's one of the things, like, always be open to feedback and be coachable. So I joined the San Diego Writers Guild group, the San Diego Editors group, and I went along to the talks, and I just met people and asked questions. learn from people like you, Yvonne, who
Yeah.
have already done that too, and again, we're always learning, I mean, there's things that I probably may do differently the next time if I do write another book, but just super support. Andrea has been fantastic. She introduced me to so many people, and that's what it's about. It takes a village, as we say.
I think, and it's key to surround yourself with people like other writers and other people in the industry. It does. I know a lot of my friends now are writers and publishers and printers because they get it, don't they? They get the whole thing that world that you're in, and you have to be. Sometimes your family mightn't get that, and people, close friends, might not understand that creativity in you that you want to write. They just don't get it. But as you said there earlier, it is important to write something every day. Have a journal beside you, a little notebook in your bag, and just to keep writing, isn't it? That's what the advice I've gotten from a lot of people that I've chatted to on this.
Yeah, you never know where inspiration comes from. And I
Yeah.
suppose I've been lucky because I've been meeting so many new people that, there's different things along the way, some little great stories in there with humor in amongst some topics that are difficult to talk about. But writing is cathartic. Writing is a good way of reconciling things, and I've got a lot out of it so far myself. The book, as I said, is 3 weeks old today, and it feels like it's been a few months at this stage, but the book will live forever.
Yeah, so. And it's great to have, and it feels so nice to hold your book in your hand, doesn't it? The physical book. I do like ebooks and all that, but you can't be holding a book in your hand. There's nothing like that. And how did you fit it all in then? Writing every day, and the book coach in with your career, which you're very busy. I mean, you've got a huge career as well.
Yeah, so I mean, we all have a choice. We all get 24 hours in a day, so I dedicated some of the time that I would normally take off.
See, I wonder, do you even sleep, Andrew? Because sometimes you seem to be always on social media answering a message and all to me. You're like, do you actually sleep?
Well, it actually is me. I don't have anybody else doing it for me, and I never will. I like to be personable. I used to say to everybody that it's not 9 to 5 in California. In America, it's 5 to 9. So I'm always up by 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I suppose we're always tipping away at things till at least 9 o'clock at night. It might sound strange to people, but you got some time zones in this country. It's a little bit different. 5 a.m. here is 8 a.m. on the East Coast, so everybody's up and at it. But that's the piece that I've been conscientious and personal. So I do try, as always, to get back to people as best I can.
Yeah.
Andrea, I found that, if you stick on Microsoft Word, you can record yourself. So I did a lot of that. I did some typing. She did some interviewing with me. So it was a combination of things. And there's plenty of time in the day if you dedicate yourself, if you're really passionate about it. Yeah. But again, it took me 2.5 years.
Yeah.
But when I look back now, it was a little and often. So.
Yeah, big time. And it's nice to have those people around you that will support that as well. And your family will understand you have to get up, I have to write maybe from 5 till 6, and just I think all these devices and all these chat things and the technology, it makes it easier that you can do it on the go. Traveling, you travel a lot as well. The speech to text on your voice recorder, all these things are brilliant, aren't they?
I think speaking was probably easier for me than writing. I remember Jane going out one Saturday to give me the house to myself. She said, right, you've got 3 hours now, get stuck in. And I started typing, and then it was all spelling errors, and I think I phrase this differently. And American English versus, traditional English. Yeah. And then she came back and she said, well, how did you get on? And I said, yeah, look, this is brilliant. This is class. And she said, is that all you wrote? 3 pages. I said, yeah, I did. So once I started talking, then, all I had to do was just talk and be descriptive and then fix the punctuation. But then Andrea came in and she helped me.
So she was proofreading and all that. Yeah. And I mean, that's
you got to structure things.
You have to structure it. It's just like doing the vomit draft, they call it, getting it all out there. And then you can go back in, and people worry about getting it all constructive and all chronological. You don't have to worry about that. It's just getting it all out there first on a Word doc. Then you can worry about putting it all together, Yeah, get it from there onto the paper, onto the Word doc. And do you think there's another book in you?
I think there's another book within me. Within the corporate section, I think that I probably lean on that because I'm most competent in that in terms of sales coaching and pulling that piece out, and that can be just something like a handbook or, you know, sort of a workbook that I could use to aid sales coaching if that's the new path I decide to travel on my journey.
Yeah, and I think it is good to have a product to show people, you know what you're talking about. I'm now an author. I've done this. I've self-published. And to people who self-publish, would you go traditionally down that route, or were you happy with the whole self-publishing process?
Yeah, I think that self-publishing versus the other route, which I really explore, to be honest,
Yeah,
I just felt that I was in control of my own work. I felt
exactly.
that I would always have my own work, and a bit more personable.
Mm,
As I said, Amazon's a great platform. You know, I'd love to work with some independent bookstores, but I'm over here. I'm not over in Ireland. So
yeah.
if anyone ever is listening or watching to that, I'd love to, you know, reach out to me. We'll figure out how to get you the books. It's just that I won't be there as often to help any
Mm,
launches in person.
mm.
But, you know, Amazon were great in terms of like, I'd only wait 3 or 4 minutes for the customer service to call me when I hit the call me button. And I had some questions, some doozers, like I mean, I'd say if I got the same person twice, they're not this guy again, you know,
It's not
asking
as good here,
questions.
Andrew. It's not.
Oh,
It's not as good as that here
yeah,
at all. I've my
yeah,
friend's books and all were taken down, and she had a terrible
sure.
time getting them back up. So you're lucky.
Yeah, well, when a lot of people reaching out now, obviously they have to order from Amazon Germany, and I guess, you know, there's a charge for delivery. So again, you know, I'd love to work with some independent bookstores in the key cities, Cork, Limerick, Waterford, Galway, Dublin. And you know, I think my local golf club might help me out by stocking
Yeah,
some in the pro shop. Let's see, but it's available on ebook and paperback, and all
yeah,
everyone's got to do is go to Amazon, type in how
exactly.
did I get it.
Is there independent bookshops even in around your area? I mean, San Diego's a huge area. So have you what's it been like approaching them
Yeah, so that's an area I got to do better at, to be honest. You know, I got to go and put on my sales hat
and do a
and
go off for the day and
and
go around,
do
have
it.
a little list and go? Do you think that they take, I mean, have some bookshops taken it already there, Andrew?
So we have some interest, and
Yeah,
again, you know, I have to back up their support by turning up, and that's
yeah,
just me scheduling myself and getting organized. So it's definitely something like Barnes and Noble.
yeah.
You know, it could be a reality for me, and maybe it might just the stores based in Southern California that perhaps I could visit myself over a 3 or 4 week cycle.
Mm.
So I've a lot of opportunities and things that I'm kicking around trying to figure out
Schedule. It's the
how.
distribution really that they want,
Hmm,
that to make that easier, I think, for the books, that they can just go directly and that you
hmm,
don't have to keep ordering from Amazon. That's probably similar to in America, well, to where you are to here.
sure.
It's all about the distribution. There's definitely a second book in you about your whole professional career for sure, isn't there?
Thank you. Yeah,
How
I
did you
think there's a
find
lot of
it writing about the miscarriage and that kind of area of your life?
yeah. So you know, for those people watching and listening, Jane and I suffered 4 miscarriages before Alfie came along, so our fifth pregnancy. I mean, they all happened over here. We were kind of on our own. We decided not to tell anyone because, again, what can anyone do in Ireland about it? We don't want to worry our parents. It was a very difficult time.
Yeah.
Um, we were able to conceive naturally. Um, you know, the doctors couldn't say there was anything medically wrong with either of us.
There's no explanations for these things, sure, there
No,
isn't.
but we're very solution orientated. That was terrible. Like if you told me to run through a wall over there, I'd go do it, knowing that it would have the right effect for
Yeah,
something.
I know.
And I guess, you know, Jane is an incredible woman. She's very strong, she's very resilient. I think having moved country with each other, we know each other so well that
Yeah.
we were able to talk with each other, but equally we were able to like, leave each other alone. And the
Mm.
first miscarriage of on, without diving too deep into all of them, like we, you know, when we were told the pregnancy had stopped, you know, we were shown down the back stairs from the doctor's office, which I was like, oh God, this is terrible. But when I
Mm.
look back now, they were being empathetic, you know, because we were walking out through the lobby with couples that had just found out their gender, and it was like a pink balloon or a blue balloon, and happy days. And
Mm.
the second one was probably the most difficult one because Jane was at home in her own. She was going through the miscarriage, and I was at a sales meeting 90 minutes away, so I had to kind of get as fast as I could home. And it's just, you know, it is the greatest news to find out that you're pregnant or you're going to be a father or a mother, and then it's just
Yeah.
so crushing. It's one high to a low. Um, but we stayed hopeful and we were honest with each other, and we had to go through, the different stages of grief. But 4 times you're kind of like, feel like it's not going to happen. It's not right for you. What are we missing out on? I mean, I can't imagine my life now without Alfie. I mean, when he was born in August 2019, I was like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
Amazing. And would you have ever thought about other ways like adoption and surrogacy and
Yeah. So we had after the third pregnancy, kind of spoke to each other and said, look, we're obviously getting older. I was 41 and Jane was 40 when Alfie was born. So, adoption, surrogacy.
Yeah.
We discussed them, but equally we kind of said like, well, you know, we're conceiving naturally. Let's just stay hopeful now, look after ourselves, stay healthy, all that good stuff, and just kind of in one way put it to the back of our minds, even though it's the forefront of our minds. And
yeah,
I guess that pregnancy, then there was like, oh my God, kid gloves, and I remember driving home from the hospital, maybe like lots of mums and dads, barely doing the speed limit, way under the speed limit.
Yeah.
Now when I'm driving, it's like, Alfie, hold on to your hat.
Yeah. But you know what? It's lovely to hear a male's perspective of this, because it's a real taboo subject still. And I think it doesn't matter if it's Ireland, America, it's still a taboo subject for men to talk about it. So well done for highlighting this in your book as well, because there is a good few chapters on it and you highlight all these things and talk about it a bit more. So it's a good book for men to read as well. It's not just for, it's for women and men. I think that well done with you for doing that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's maybe it's a male thing to default to not talking about things, or it's a male default to talk to be stoic and be the man, perhaps. But equally, I think that we've learned down through the years, both Irish and every culture, to talk about things, to get things out is important, but then to sit with them, grieve. You have to grieve, and but like hope, there's always hope. Life is always evolving. Life is always changing. You have to lean on people. You have to get support. Probably should have spoken to more people and we didn't.
Yeah.
But it worked out. But I would say to people, like, lean on each other, be open, be honest about your feelings, but stay hopeful. Gotta stay hopeful. And as you said, Yvonne, there's lots of other options too.
There is. But look, there was a great outcome for you at the end. You have gorgeous little Alfie. And listen, are you reading anything at the moment? Have you got time to read? Are you too busy marketing yourself?
No, I'm always reading, and in fact, obviously, I'm reading this fantastic book right now.
Oh wow! Look at that. Who did that?
Got delivered from Amazon, and I just finished the section on interview with Lorraine Keane. I do agree with her. She says, treat people how you'd like to be treated. So I'm reading that one, and then I'm reading 2 other books, or I have them I'm dipping in and out of. One of them is called The Emigrant's Edge, which is by a man from Dublin who also lives in San Diego. Brian Buffini, and it's an incredible story. And I never discovered him. You'd think we all would meet up, us Irish people, until after my book was published, so 3 weeks ago, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh my God, like what a story, moving here, doing 3 jobs, working hard, now successful as a family man, entrepreneur.
You have to meet him.
I'll track him down, or
I'm sure. Yeah, exactly. Maybe he'd be tracking you down.
And then the third book is Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. The guy opened up Nike and runs Nike.
Really
interesting.
I'm not surprised at that one now, because that's your kind of the branding side of you. Now tell people where they can find you as well, Andrew.
Sure. So I like to keep it simple. So it's andrewfitzgeraldauthor.com for my website.
Can you buy the book there as well?
You will be able to download a PDF version of it.
Right.
We're working on that part of the business.
I'm sure you'll have that. Yeah. And you can add that in like a Shopify account or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And then on Instagram, you'll find me at Andrew Fitzgerald _author. And that's where I'm hanging out at the moment, posting.
And LinkedIn as well.
Well, LinkedIn, you'll find me under Andrew Fitzgerald, so global beverage sales expert.
Yeah, so we're everywhere. We have to be, don't you, on social media? You have to be on each platform. Even though I say to people, just pick 2, you have to kind of have a little presence everywhere, don't you?
Well, you're meeting people in different environments. So LinkedIn can be more of a businessy thing. Obviously Instagram can be, sociable
Yeah.
and beautiful and
It's different,
pictorial.
visual. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
listen, well done. I don't want to keep you from your work time. I'm sure it's a different, what time is it there? It's nearly lunchtime.
So it's now 1 o'clock
Yeah. So
and
you've got
Wednesday
appointments.
afternoon. We've got some stuff coming up. Yeah, I was always working on something.
Oh, that's good. And listen, thank you so much for your time today and sharing all about your wonderful book. I'll put the links in the post with this as well. And thank you for joining me on The Writer's Mindset, Andrew, and take care. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Yvonne. Take
Take
care.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.